know that he introduced the international decade for people of African descent. He launched it here in Canada in 2019, and Honorable Hedy Fry and other Black members, caucus senators, they did this great job. We appreciate them. And they created the 3 streams of funding. That was the community support for Black Canadian, capacity building for Black Canadian organization, and they also introduced the community support for Black Canadian youth. And then the last was the support on mental health. We know this greatly, very much needed, the resources, the support to strengthen, to deal with the issues of racism, anti-racism in Canada. We needed to really approach Prime Minister of Canada and our mayor in Vancouver and the provincial government. They have been also trying to do a very similar work to implement this. Until COVID-19 came into effect, it affected us. We have seen protests being going around, Black Lives Matter, the death of George Floyd. It really triggered what we see today. And this pandemic affected our youth so much. So greatly that we have coordinator of Mr. Peter Frege, Director of Anti-Racism Department of Canada Heritage, also here. Would like these younger people to hear from them after hearing from each other. And that's what the meaning of anti-racism is, sharing stories. And we figure it out from that. That's all. And also would like to welcome Senator Mobina Jaffa. I worked with her for almost 10 years. I know how much she's been fighting for human rights and the rights of younger people, especially the girls and boys. So thank you so much. I'm going to leave to take the equipment to the theater. Also tomorrow morning, we're going to have a very large heritage walking tour in downtown East Side, Hoganizali. So thank you so much for giving me opportunity. And tomorrow, tune on from 2 p.m., you'll be able to see the African Descent Virtual Festival. Yeah, thanks so much. And also wish you the best. Yeah.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Mr. Yasin Kiraga. We appreciate that, and we indeed appreciate that you had to sponsor the African Descent Youth Engagement. So thank you so much. So with that, without wasting any further time, I'd like to take this opportunity once again to welcome the first speaker tonight, and that is going to be Fatuma Dirie. Her topic is about COVID-19's effect on African descent people and minority businesses. So may I kindly ask you, Fatuma, to give us a brief introduction of who you are and why you chose this topic. Thank you so much. Fatuma, please. You're welcome.
Hi there, everybody. It's a pleasure to be a part of this panel. Just to briefly introduce myself, my name is Fatuma Dirie. A lot of you in the community may know me as Missy. I'm a founder of Leaflet & Co. It's a small business brand that focuses on natural and holistic skincare solutions. We also have the Leaf Lada Foundation, which was set up to give back to communities back home in Eastern Africa where we source our products. So yeah, that's just about me, what I do. If I could just jump into what I really wanted to talk about today. I was so excited when Rita and Yasin approached me to talk today and engage African descent youth and our honorable guests on important issues facing us during these trying times. I want to use majority of my time to focus on the impacts of COVID-19 and the effect it's had on small Black businesses. A large percentage of our businesses are in the hospitality and service sector, beauty, entertainment, and essentially our livelihoods took a big hit due to the pandemic. And some may not be able to make it out with their businesses intact in all actuality. So a lot of us have to build our businesses from scratch, and that may be from personal savings, loans, family members, credit card, or even refinancing our own homes. So as African descent youth, we are in a uniquely different position when it comes to our start of our journeys, that a lot of our friends from different races don't necessarily have those obstacles in front of them, which is now 100 times more difficult with COVID. Working multiple jobs is usually a necessity for entrepreneurs whose bootstraps are already shorter to begin with. Access to a solid professional network, including mentors, is vital for our youth, as well as access to capital. Social capital is also another part of the ecosystem, and can be a bridge to resource necessary things for our growth. But without the right connections, strong networks may be hard to plug into, and the exclusion from these networks can have a stifling effect on our careers and businesses. One of the things we're talking about a couple of days ago with a few frustrated youth is the lack of facilitation and mobilization within our communities, and the need to collectively develop our own business groups in a sense where we can build a fund for our members, build benefits for ourselves and others, and create business opportunities within ourselves. We're really trying to envision what our post-pandemic future would look like, including a possible alliance with other minority groups and youth groups and businesses in the Lower Mainland. I'm going to say it doesn't come as a surprise that Black businesses are severely undervalued. Mom and pop, a term of endearment that acknowledges and fortitudes a nobility in owning a small business, is rarely applied to Black-owned businesses. There's like a level of racial discrimination and biases perceptions of small Black-owned businesses. So that does really feed into I can't talk today. disinvestment in our community. So it's very apparent when you do notice that discrepancy between the disinvestments that are being put into those minority groups or in those small businesses. And essentially, the crisis will absolutely disproportionately affect minority-owned businesses for two critical reasons. A, we tend to face underlying issues that make it harder for us to run and scale our businesses successfully, and are more likely to be concentrated in industries most affected by the pandemic. Like I was saying earlier, service-based industries or service-based businesses. There's an old saying, when America catches a cold, Black America catches pneumonia. And it's very true, which essentially is what we're facing today. The rest of society is enduring something right now, and we're having to go through it 10 times more. So in conclusion of all my ramblings, I would like to empower the African descent youth and all of our allies to help make a safe space for ourselves where we can gather and our resources mobilize to make those opportunities for ourselves and the younger generation. As they say, flowers don't grow without rain, and what happens right now will set the course for the future. Whether we make it out of this pandemic, hopefully with our wits, and create something better and a better system for ourselves, and actually really talk about the underlying causes that are making things 10 times more worse for ourselves right now. The pandemic has forced us to expand our minds, do things that we were scared of doing or didn't think that we could, along with the things that we didn't even have on our radar before. And we should not let that ever reminding disadvantages suppress our spirit for change and prosperity. And with that, I would like to say thank you all for listening to me.
Oh, thank you so much, Fatima. I really appreciate that. I like the phrase, flowers don't grow without rain. That's true indeed. Thank you so much. I do appreciate that. And thank you for making this once again memorable. That was a great speech. Thank you. Without wasting time, I know that we started a little bit late because of some technical issues. So may I please take this opportunity and invite Samantha Msoki. Samantha will be talking about how we can, as a community, bring together and build new opportunities for youth of African descent. Samantha, kindly introduce yourself. Why did you have to choose this topic? Please, you're welcome.
Hi, for those of you who do not know me, my name is Samantha Msoki. I'm currently in a second year university student learning health sciences. And the reason why I chose this topic was because I've been a youth, I'm still a youth, and have experienced all of these things. And I've worked with youth for a few years now, and I've seen what they have experienced. And the reason why I chose this topic was because it's so dear to me, because when I moved here as a 13-year-old, I was yeah, I was 13, and I moved here. I didn't know many people, many friends. I didn't know much people. And when I moved here with my sisters and I grew up to know different communities and to be part of different engagements, youth engagements, and stuff like that. But when I grew up in high school, we had youth programs, we had all of these. And that's what has basically built me up. And what now with this pandemic and everything, it has basically given more kids to stay inside, and it's given them that, they're more vulnerable and they don't have much to say just by staying inside of the house. So I have 3 topics that I'm going to be talking about for youth. How can we as a community be engaged with people and bring people together as a community, as a Black community, as a like African youth descent? So one of my points is access to services, improving quality of life of youth, meaning having access to learning how to um, build a resume, learning how to, what an interview would look like, while someone would be, if they're going to an interview, how that would look like and how youth would be impacted by that and the kind of experience they have. That is basically an important thing to me because I learned that in high school, but now more days it's just more like they're creating those essential programs, but also they're very, very prioritized with like very little groups, and it's in high demand at this point. But at the same time, access to those services is very important. My other one is basically providing young youth, girls and boys, with educational skills and capacities for gainful employment. And most of these youth, whenever they are 14 or 16, they do not have most of the experience to get a job or apply for a job. So like I said before, applying for a new job and getting new resumes and interviews and stuff like that, it's really important, and it's very highlighted with African descent youth to continue levels of higher engagement with youth and job opportunities. My other one is basically for credited with women in university or just youth in general. It's very important for youth to just be together and continue to engage within one another. And my main question to all of you, if you can answer, it would basically be, what can you do in general? What can you do as a person to improve your community more? So what I mean is my cousin and I, we've created this program. It's called Storytellers, and it's impacted me a lot, to the point where a lot of youth have came back every single moment, and we run it every week. So a lot of youth have come back every day to see how much engagement is put into the community. And the youth make the program. And that's my favorite part. They choose what they want to do, and that's what makes the whole program. So we talk about different things that happen in the community. We talk about things that are happening all over the world, and we try to have a change about that. So that's basically all I'm going to talk about, and that's basically it for me.
Wow, Samantha, thank you so much. I must say, I'm very proud of you. I know you forget to tell us something, but excuse me, I will spill the beans. Samantha is a very proactive lady. She has her YouTube channel, and she's very motivational. She goes there, and there are some programs that she runs on her YouTube channel. Sorry, Samantha, what's that channel? What's the name of the channel again?
It's just basically my first name and last name, and I basically do like different vlogs and helping communities and just different, and basically anything, honestly. I would talk about anything, and when people are questioning things and they want to know a lot of things. I will just give what I have experienced, and my experience, 100% experience, and that's what I've basically done.
Yeah, thank you so much. I'm one of your fans. I'm just very impressed, and I'm very thankful for you, a young youth like you, coming up and being very proactive and being very motivational, because the youth in the community that see you and what you do, they are very inspired. So thank you very much. Please, go on with what you're doing. It's very, very motivational, like I said, and I hope that can actually change the mindset of the young youth out there, and they will be transformed by what you do. I hope they can be motivated by what you do, because you really raise very good. I like some of your topics, teaching people how to, for example, plait hair. Someone can open up a salon,
Yeah,
by
different
just
skills.
watching you
Exactly.
plait hair, your sister's hair, and watching you cook different cooking programs, and watching you really teaching people about saving money. That was a very good program I saw right there, the different ways of saving money. So please go on. As a young youth, I just like what you're doing, and I can assure you, once you hang in there and keep doing what you're doing, we can, together we can, transform this community and make it a better one than what it is today.
Yeah.
Thank you so
Thank you
much.
so much. I really appreciate it. I think someone commented before they wanted to get my last name. It's Musoki. So Musoki. Samantha
Thank you.
Musoki.
Thank you once
Thank
again,
you so
Samantha.
much. I
Proud of you.
appreciate it.
Proud of you. Thank you. Yeah. Yes, so again, I want to take this opportunity and again welcome one of our great leaders, Mariam Arafat. Now, Mariam is a student and she's a very good speaker. And I look up to you, Mariam. I learn a lot from you. Every day you speak, I learn a lot from you. You're great. Now, Mariam's topic tonight is how COVID-19 has affected young mothers while social distancing at home. Please tell us more about that. Welcome.
Absolutely. Thank you. Hi.
Excuse me one moment.
Sorry?
Rita, Lillian is still locked out of the meeting. Could you help her to get back in?
Okay, please, as Mariam, please continue. Let me work on that. Please, Mariam, go on.
Okay. So good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Mariam Arafati. I'm very honored to be speaking in front of you today. I will be speaking on how COVID-19 has affected young mothers while social distancing at home. So COVID-19 has affected the lives of every single person across the globe. People are suffering financial instability, lives are being lost at record numbers, while many are falling ill each and every day. As a result of COVID-19, has had more negative effects on young mothers, and every aspect of motherhood has become considerably difficult. Finance is definitely a big stressor for young mothers. Many mothers have found themselves in difficult financial position as a result of COVID-19. For example, mothers who are on maternity leave can get as little as $1,000 a month, and they do not qualify for COVID benefits, even though mothers have twice the expenses than those of a single individual. I myself did not qualify for any federal or provincial benefits. Another expecting mother lost her part-time job and did not qualify for the CERB benefits. There was a lack of support and consideration for mothers and expecting mothers during this tough times, especially considering the circumstances vary from mother to mother, from single mothers, mothers who are not living with their partners, and mothers in a single parent income. As BC has begun to loosen restriction, many mothers still cannot go or are unable to go back to work or find work, not to mention the fear of putting the health of ourselves as well as our children at risk. To make matters worse, there's so much uncertainty of the future. We do not know what outcome we'll be facing in 3 months, 6 months, or a year's time. It's a very scary reality. Another area of concern is mental health, as it has been. With physical distancing, many mothers lack a good support system to get us through these times, with many programs that mothers rely on for support and companionship being canceled or paused. Under normal circumstances, mothers face high risk of postpartum depression. With COVID-19, that percentage could be and has been increased. Many mothers are filled with anxiety, while others are are beginning to experience depression. Also, for mothers who have older children, many extracurricular activities have also been canceled. As for the children attending school, the responsibilities of virtual learning has been moved on to the parents, thus adding to the stress. To make matters worse, many mothers, including myself, have the dreadful fear of exposing our children to COVID-19. We fear so much for our physical health as well as the health of our children. The speed in which the disease has spread and impacted, and its impact has had, it continues to be a very terrifying. The question that I have for my fellow panelists is, during this pandemic, we have seen all lives being affected dramatically in many ways. For mothers, we already have the stress of pregnancy or taking care of our children. What can the BC government do for mothers so that the stress and burden of the pandemic won't add to our already life-changing, stressful circumstances? Also, what mental health supports can be provided for us during these times? Those are the things that I wanted to touch on.
Wow, Mariam, if I may ask you, why did you choose that topic?
I chose this topic because it affected me personally, though I've been trying my best to stay afloat because being by myself and not having my family has been really difficult. So, and also I've spoken to a lot of other friends of mine who are mothers as well, and they're going through the same things, and they're all in different circumstances. So I've noticed that the impact on us has been very significant. I also noticed that there wasn't that much thought put into when the benefits were being put together, just because I know many mothers who didn't qualify for most, if any, of the benefits, which did affect us a lot financially.
Wow.
That's why I want to talk about it.
Impressive. Yes, you recently had you have a little baby, right?
I do.
What's the name of the baby?
His name is Zaire.
Zaire.
Yeah,
Oh,
it's
beautiful. Yes, I've also heard that previously, I think before you gave birth to the little sweet baby, whom I'm yet to see, if you let me. Yes, I heard you were proactively engaged in some organization, and you are actually doing really wonderful things. Do you mind sharing with us some of that experience? So if you still do, please go ahead.
At the moment, I'm just part-time in school as well as taking care of my son. So I don't do too much, but I'm hoping once COVID is over and we have figured out our new normal, we'll be able to get back into it for the most part. But I was very involved in my high school as well as a little bit after in the community and helping and engaging with the youth.
Do you mind sharing just a little bit of the stuff you were doing with the youth, if you don't mind?
So I mainly used to volunteer at my old high school. So I would help with one of my teachers as well as guest speak in some of their conversation, because I'm really into political science. That's what my area of study right now. And so I would join in and talk about geography and transfer information that I'm learning from university.
What would you like to be? What would you like to do in the future?
To be honest, I wanted to work for the United Nations. However, these days I've been feeling kind of disappointed just because with everything that's happening in the world, I feel like they're failing people, they're failing us, and I feel like their job is to speak up on the behalf of those that are being oppressed. And I feel like personally, they're not doing the great of a job. So I don't know yet, but I'm definitely still heading in the way of politics or African history, just because I really have a passion for uplifting my people. And I feel like as obviously as Canadians, but as African Canadians, we owe it to ourselves, to our ancestors, to also be able to give back. Because for me, when I look back, I see that my family is back there. So it's not just like, oh, I got out, so it's okay, I don't care about the rest. But I genuinely do care for not just my family, but everybody else who is trying to make it. And we can definitely give them support to be able to uplift themselves as well.
Wow, thank you, Fatima. And yes, you're right. We owe it to our ancestors. I mean, look at the history that we study, Yeah. We study because of, the legacy they left behind. So yes, we can help create a better today and a future tomorrow by by building on that legacy of yesterday, today, and hopefully we can make it even greater, you know, in history, in the future. So even when we are not here, people can look back and say, hey, Fatima was here, Samantha was here, Mariam was here, you know, so and so was here, because we actually left that legacy. So thank you so much for the wonderful work you are doing, and I wish you all the very, very best.
Thank you so much.
You have a greater leader in you, by the way. I always tell you that.
You do.
All right. Thank you so much, Mariam. I appreciate that. Okay. So tonight, ladies and gentlemen, I also have the pleasure to invite a young coming artist. She's a very, very talented in music. And I love it when she sings. I hope you can share some of the albums that you've been able to release so far. And her name is Goddess Muhoza, and she's here to represent every upcoming artist here in Vancouver tonight. And her topic is how COVID-19 has impacted upcoming artists like me, not like me, like her, Goddess Muhoza. So please, Goddess Muhoza, please welcome. The floor is yours.
Hi, my name is Goddess Muhoza, and a few things that I wanted to talk about today was, you know, how COVID-19 has like mentally impacted us as musicians, financially, and just how it's just kind of like stopped our whole lives from moving forward. I'm here to talk about, personally for me, I was supposed to be working on an album for this year, and it's all just slowed down, and I can't really do anything due to social distance. We're supposed to keep like our distance, so we can't really have crowds of people and perform, you know, like we can't go like to tours, we can't do shows. And most artists in BC, or at least in general, most artists at this very moment are struggling financially because, you know, that's where our money comes from, and we're unable to do that right now. We can't do shows, we can't do music videos due to restrictions that we have to follow. And for me, I've been impacted because all my music that I was doing had to go on pause, and like I wasn't working. I couldn't go like pay studio time. I couldn't continue. I recently released a song that was supposed to be off my album, then the whole thing stopped. So this whole year I can't release that. So I'm here basically talking for many artists because I spoke with a few artists, some of my friends who do music also, and they were telling me that their biggest problem also was venues and like shows and studios. Like I don't know like what way like you guys would be able to help with like places to go rehearse our arts, or like places like ways we can go to the studio, because we're struggling in that way. I personally am struggling. So for me, talking like for myself, I need help growing my career, and I want to be impactful and influential. And it's just this pandemic like has restricted all that for me. I can't travel, I can't do anything. So I don't know what advice you guys would have for an artist, for myself, to keep them hopeful and going, or like in any way you guys could be able to help. So this youth program, I'm very grateful because they're trying to take youth who are going through such things as I am and find ways to help them during this pandemic. So mentally, it's just been very hard to stay focused because everything that I need to do, I have to go out there to do it. And with social distance and everything, I have to stay home. So yeah.
Goddess, thank you so much. I'm just curious. What are some of the albums that you've released so far?
Well, I was supposed to release an album, but I couldn't because I was working on some music. Then like since March, I've not been able to work. So it kind of stopped me from going to the studio because people have to keep social distancing. So I couldn't go to the studio. I couldn't.
Sorry, Goddess.
Sorry about that.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Sorry. I thought we lost you.
No, I'm here. I couldn't go to the studio. I couldn't continue like recording. We have plans for like videos, and none of that could happen until, like, you know, everything is okay, because
Right.
health first, right?
Right.
So I've only released a song so far.
Just one song so far?
Yeah.
Okay. So I've seen your videos, right? Your previous albums. I've watched those. Do you mind just sharing with us some of those albums you've done successfully?
Well, I've been doing concerts for a while in BC.
Yes.
I perform a lot, and, you know, I do shows here and there, and I record a lot. Album wise, I was just about to release one, but I recently released a song called Still Alright. It's basically about, like, communities coming together, like, despite of where you come from or, like, your race type of thing, like bringing, like, races together, kind of like one love, fighting against racism. But, like, I just wanted to do an album that will impact everybody out there on, like, life wise, just like, because music gets me through a lot, and I was hoping to, like, do that for somebody else through my music, you know? So that COVID has put all that to stop for me.
I see. So can I ask, if I may ask, Goda, so where do you see yourself in the next 5 years? Like, what are you doing right now? Despite COVID-19 and the pandemic, what keeps you busy?
Well, writing. I'm still writing. I'm still trying to figure out ways to still do music without going out there physically, which it is a little bit difficult, but, you know, you can't just stop completely and say, oh, this is going on, so I'm just gonna stop. You know, you can only do so much, and you just gotta work on the parts that you're able to control and not focus on the things you can't control. So at this very moment, like, I write a lot. I'm still associating with people musically, and, like, on, like, projects we could build after this whole thing blows up and it's over.
Oh, I see. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. And if there are any questions that, you know, if there are any questions in the audience geared towards you or Samantha or Fatima, please be ready, you know, to answer them questions. I hope you don't mind that.
Yeah, that's perfect.
Yeah, I would like to say my apologies. We have a really, really great speaker. Her name is Lillian. But for some reason, Lillian Mayombo has not been able to successfully log in. There's just too much traffic that is coming in right now. I've done everything that I technically and possibly can, but unfortunately I've failed to put her in. But kindly please allow me, if I can, read her poems in honor of Lillian, because she's not been able to. But fortunately, she sent me her poems. So me not reading this, really, it would be very painful, and I cannot just end this function without at least reading what she had for our audience tonight. So Lillian's topic was diaspora disparities. They say Africa is the cradle of mankind, but the kind of treatment that Africa receives is very unkind, from slavery to receiving less salary. People in Africa and in the diaspora are living in abject misery. The disparities of the diaspora are a plethora of discrimination and abuse. Some of the audacity to say we have nothing to lose. Well, we have everything to lose when our lives are at risk. We have everything to lose when we can't breathe. So when a pandemic hits, we worry the most because we know it will hit us first and hard. The statistics confirm that majority of those who die from COVID-19 are Black people. But this is no coincidence. It is rooted in the system when we are treated like second-class citizens. In Canada, for example, there is no medical data based on race. We have universal data. But tell me how are we going to know the effect of COVID-19 has had on Black people without the data? It's time for change, and that time begins now. COVID-19 has impacted us greatly. We've lost jobs, we've lost income, and we've lost loved ones. Why are we always more likely to die? It seems as though the world don't think we deserve this life. A higher chance of working frontline jobs, less access to healthcare, and being more likely to live in crowded, denser neighborhoods are all factors contributing to a higher death rate from COVID-19. So COVID-19 is just revealing the disparities in a painful, more pronounced way. Something is seriously wrong here. The irony of calling us minority, when we are the majority of this land. We need justice. We need fairness. We are all created equal, so no one should be more equal than others. We need same access to healthcare. We need same access to employment opportunities. We need same access to life, because we are all humans. And like you say, we are the cradle of humankind. Now that is the first poem of Lillian, and I'll read the second one because she has two of them. So the second poem is Tomorrow is Uncertain. That's the title. Tomorrow is Uncertain.
Rita?
Yes, please?
Sorry, Lillian is here now.
Perfect. Oh my God, Lillian, sweetheart. Oh my God, sweetheart. I do not want to talk in my own words, and I'm gonna let you, please, allow me, honorable members. Let her do her poem her own way, the Lillian way. Please, Lillian, I am so delighted to see you. You know, I just love you so much. Please go ahead and say your poem, beginning from the first one. Please, Lillian, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Oh my God, I thought I wasn't going to perform. I tried to join like a couple times. Let me trace it.
Lillian, can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Yes, yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead and do your thing. Yep.
Yeah, sure. Oh my God, technology. Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can hear you. You're loud and clear.
Okay.
All good.
Thank you. They say Africa is the cradle of mankind, but the kind of treatment that Africa receives is very unkind. From slavery to receiving less salary, people in Africa and in the diaspora are living in abject misery. The disparities of the diaspora are a painful plethora of injustices, of discrimination and abuse. Some have the audacity to say we have nothing to lose. Well, we have everything to lose when our lives are at risk. We have everything to lose when we can't breathe. So when the pandemic hits, we worry the most because we know it will hit us first and the hardest. The statistics confirm that majority of those who died from COVID-19 are Black people. But this is no coincidence. It's rooted in the system when we are treated like second-class citizens. In Canada, for example, there is no medical data based on race. We have universal data. But tell me, how are we going to know the exact effect COVID-19 has on Black people without the data? It's time for change. and that change begins now. COVID-19 has impacted us greatly. We've lost jobs, we've lost income, we've lost loved ones. Why are we more likely to die? It seems as though the world don't think we deserve this life. A higher chance of working frontline jobs, less access to health care, and being more likely to live in crowded, denser neighborhoods are all factors contributing to a higher death rate from COVID-19. So COVID-19 is just revealing the disparities in a painful, more pronounced way. Something is seriously wrong here. The irony of calling us minority when we are the majority of this land. We need justice. We need fairness. We are all equal, so no one should be more equal than others. We need same access to healthcare, same access to employment opportunities. We need same access to life because we are all humans. And like you say, we are the credo of mankind. So that's my first piece. After having difficulties in joining, I was shaking. Okay, I'm going to try and English. So my second piece is entitled, Their Tomorrow is Uncertain. If the equation was less complex, mathematicians would have calculated the effects, making it easier for researchers to work towards dissection. See, unemployment and death rates wouldn't be at the climax. If the plan was less intricate and more clear, we wouldn't be stuck here stranded with fear. I bet the world's best scientists would have found the best solution, at least tangible means to get us out of this situation. This pandemic might sound harmless, but its simplicity in words does not guarantee safety in the world. The more we underrate it, the trickier it gets, causing disorientation to our minds, wandering around and mercilessly ending lives, forcing the busy bees out of their hives, separating husbands from their wives, stabbing our backs with sharp knives, victimizing countless, strengthening the foundation of helplessness, overturning the world with zero chances of defiance, collapsing pillars of survival, turning physical interactions into the rival, instigating doubts about their tomorrow, amid the young Africans engulfed with sorrow. Let me break down for you what they go through. That is if you don't have any clue. They grew up struggling, hustling, striving, making ends meet with hopes of thriving. Mind you, their hardships do not crush them. Instead, it molds them into strong beings, but now they are forced to learn new moves. I guess the younger generation wish they had wings, wings to fly away, even if it would just be for a day. At least they would experience a difference in some way. Maybe, we will never know anyway. If they only had the capacity to change this reality, they would surely amend this world full of poverty, calamity, and insanity. Trust me, their future wouldn't be as mysterious as it is. They would be at ease with little tiny worries about their school fees. A wise man once said, "Youth is happy because it has a future." The saddening part is the uncertainty of this adventure. The path is foggy, thorny, bumpy, scary, and so is the ending line. Our brothers and sisters need reformation with a new design. A come through of transformation and change with a sign. Masses are stuck in their homes, jobless, dreamless, ambitionless, and to make it worse, COVID-19 added its spices, smashing their dreams and vision and progress of their business. Trust me, this is serious. We are usually reminded of preventative measures and mostly encouraged to stay inside. But do we think of those whose subsistence might be outside? Do we try to overlook our perceptions and try to understand from their end? I can only be their voice, but the decision is in your hands. Please make that one good choice. Try to take a moment and analyze their education, lifestyle, and sanitation. I'm sure you will see what I saw that some don't see, even if it's so difficult to see, they still opt not to see. If you listen attentively, you will hear their cries. I plead with you to pay close attention to their plea. You will realize that they lack that one key, the key to unlock the locked and blocked opportunities. It can't be done unless innovation avails their communities. Only then can we talk of development agendas. The precariousness of the present is breaking our backbones. The envisioning of the future is detaching our brains. We could use a sip of love, kindness, and empathy. Humanity wouldn't be meaningful if it lacked sympathy. If you ask me, this is the right time to practice what we preach, which is living with a purpose. Help me save humanity and mankind by double-checking our daily conduct and service. As we lay our thoughts, let's remember to include them in our plans. I can't end this piece without saying this. Please reach out and touch. Thank you.
Wow, wow, wow. Lillian, I would have missed you, and I'm sure the whole audience would have missed you so much. And I'm just so excited that you were able to, find your way back in. Sorry, I just get a little bit emotional when I'm overwhelmed. I'm just so proud. I'm just so proud. All you ladies have greatness in you. I want you to know that you have greatness in you, and you have what it takes to change this community. You made me so proud, and you made each and every honorable member and counselor and all the guests in this audience tonight. You made them proud. And you made everybody out there in the communities proud. And I want to say, and I want to encourage each and every youth that is out there, you can make it. You can make it. You can, you're not any different. You have greatness in you. You have that talent in you. You have to discover who you are for sure. Because, like I said, you have greatness in you. So whatever you look at in your mentor, in your role model in the community, you can be that someday. You cannot be limited by circumstances. We cannot let COVID-19 defeat us. Like you said, it has actually given us, a broader mind to stretch ourselves even further, like thinking out of the box. And know how can we even make ourselves better? How can we improve? To me, this has been such a great learning lesson for everyone. I mean, the world has to continue with or without a pandemic. And this should be a lesson, especially to the youngsters. Now, as a motivational speaker, I'm here to encourage us all, the young people out there. I hope that what you see here tonight can be educational, can be motivational, can be inspiring, can be transformational. And I really hope that you look inside yourself and ask yourself, where do I want to be in the next 5, 10 years, 1 year from now? And what difference can I make to see a different, community that I want to see in the future? It starts with you, it starts with me. And that can only happen when we take the first step. And I know that step is hard, but when we come together with our leaders, there is nothing impossible. So thank you very much, speakers of today. You made us all proud, and I want you to know you have greatness in you, and hang in there. And you are purely very special. You are very, I don't know, I have no words, otherwise I'll be emotional, and I'm trying to be very, very strong here. But thank you so very much. So at this point of time, I would like to take this opportunity. I'm very excited again to say that we have honorable members in this audience tonight, and they will be the panelists tonight. They'll be reacting and commenting and talking about what, what has been said today. So may I please take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to invite our first panelist. That is the Honorable Mombina Jeffa, Senator for British Columbia. Please, Honorable, you are most welcome, and we are thrilled to have you tonight with us. Please, thank you. Honorable Mombina, please unmute. Thank you. Yeah.
Well, Rita, to you and Kasin, I can't thank you enough. I'm so energized with everything that's been said. And there's so, in the short time that I have, I'm not going to be able to respond to all the things that were said or all the questions that were asked. But I say to all the people that spoke that
Honorable, we can't hear you. Honorable Mombina? Sorry, we can't hear you. I think it's on a pause or something. Honorable?
Yeah, she's frozen, Rita.
Oh yes, she's frozen. Okay, so as she gets back, we wait for her to get back. May I please take this opportunity again to welcome our second honorable, Honorable Dr. Hedy Frey. She's the Member of Parliament for Vancouver. Please, Dr. Hedy Frey, you're most welcome.
Well, thank you very much, Rita. I am impressed with the diversity of voices that we have here tonight. I mean, they're all young, but they all talk about different aspects of how their lives and how COVID-19 impacted their lives. Some of them, I think, I didn't know about, and so it's really important to understand the reality of those lives and to understand the impact of COVID on them. And I think some of them, obviously, one would want to suggest that there are things that we can do to help them right now, but we're talking about a longer term, a permanent sustainability for some of these young people, the artists, the musicians, the business people, the ability for them, and the mothers, the ability for them to be able to get that equal access that they need to everything. But I think what is impressive is that so many of your young speakers are activists, they are eloquent, they are ready to put their backs into this and to help to make it happen. And so a lot of the talk today was about mentorship, the need for mentorship. And I'm hoping that some of us here as panelists can be those mentors, and also can be the voices for them to the different levels of government that we're working with, whether it's city council or the federal government like I am, or the province. I think that ability for us to go up there and be advocates for their voices and say that this is what we heard and to move the agenda forward is really important. But I think the mentoring part is quite important. So I just wanted to thank them for just, talking to us and letting us into their lives a little bit and trusting us to listen to their problems and their issues. And also the hope in their voices, the ability not to say, this is terrible, we're giving up. It's this idea that, here we are, we're going to move forward and we're going to do it. And perhaps you can help us, but we really can tell you what the problem lies and what can you do about it. So I want to thank all of the young people for having shared with us this evening.
And we thank you too, Honorable Dr. Hedy Frey. We thank you so much for being part of us and accepting our invitation. Indeed, you made this a memorable moment for each and every one of us. And thank you so much for talking to us tonight. Yes, I am glad to see that actually Honorable Mombina is back. Would you like to carry on, Honorable Jeffa Mombina?
I'm sorry, I don't know what happened. I got cut off. But it's always a pleasure to hear comments of my colleague, my friend, Hedy. She's been a great leader in our community and has fought for issues of young people, especially African youth, for a very long time. So we are really honored to have her with us, as are all the councillors. I want to leave one thought with everybody because I have very limited time. Is when I was listening to all of you, I was thinking of how Nelson Mandela started the battles, and us as African people of African descent, I say to you that we must never forget that when he started, it was a given that apartheid would be there forever. I remember as a university student protesting, and my principal at London University said to me, "Forget it, you're wasting your time." And, you know, whenever I'm most discouraged, I look at how he changed the face of Africa. And I say to all of you here that please remember that you're not alone. Now you've found many, many new friends here. None of us see ourselves as any different from you. So you found friends, and the questions you have, please reach out to us. And I want to leave one more thought with all of you, you know, that we are here, and I heard the challenges that we have, but we must not forget our brothers and sisters at home. One of the things that is really, really worrying me at the moment is the many young children in our countries. I come from Uganda, and the meals that they were getting at school are not getting. And so $5, $10, send them to your family to reach out to the children at home. And I say to you that you are Canadians now, and this is the time that we try together to find a voice for young African youth so that they can represent their reality. And the reality you face is very difficult. The reality we face is very difficult. And I can vouch for the fact that when Hedy Fry went on Parliament, it was a very different face from where it is now. And you will be the next parliamentarians. You will be representing the wishes of others. And so I say to you, don't give up. Don't be discouraged. And for harmony, I tell you, I leave you this one thought, and I'm hoping that Lillian will share her poem with all of us. But I want to leave you with one thought that, you know, I always tell people that on a piano, you have the white keys and you have the black keys. And here, many times in Canada, we only play on the white keys and we get some kind of harmony. And from what all of you have said here, we have to play both on white keys and black keys to get real harmony in Canada. And therefore, I know I speak from all my colleagues who have come from different levels of government, that we are listening to you. We have made notes. We will take this with us. But remember that you're not alone. Now we have found friends with us. And to create real harmony, we all have to work together. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Honorable Mombina Jeffer. It's very comforting. It's really, really very comforting to say you are here, and you are here for us, and you're here with us. Thank you so much. And we look forward to consulting from you while we work on different projects, because we want to reach out to as many youth out there that are wanting, you know, to come up and change their own communities. And yes, you talked about Uganda and, you know, countries in Africa and what's going on there. So we hope that, you know, we can enlarge our vision and what we are doing to actually extend our help, not just here in Canada, but also in Africa and countries around the world that really, really need this urgent help, especially during this COVID-19 situation. So I'm so glad that at least we have, you know, a place that we can run to, that we have, you know, people that understand us and understand our needs and understand where we want to go. So to the youth, I want to, you know, once again, like the Honorable Mombina said, she used the great example of Nelson Mandela. Now, Nelson Mandela was a great leader in South Africa. He led South Africa to their independence. Like I said, we all have greatness in us. You know, you can become the next Nelson Mandela tomorrow. I mean, not by leading your country to independence, but doing something that is going to leave a legacy that is, you know, just like Nelson Mandela or whoever, you know, leader that you are really looking up to, you know. So yes, let's keep the fire burning, and we can make it. We can really make it. So at this moment, yes, thank you once again, Honorable Jeffer Mombina. Let me take this opportunity to welcome another guest, most distinguished guest, Councillor Trish Mandeo. She's with us today. You are most welcome, Councillor. It's my pleasure to have you tonight. Please.
Trish, you're on mute.
I was excited to speak. I didn't even think of unmuting. Yeah, I wanted to start by saying thank you so much, Rita, for the great moderating that you have done tonight. And I also wanted to commend every single one of you that is on this call today, because you could have been doing amazing things on this Friday night. You could have been walking by the beach or taking a hike, but you chose to come and spend your evening, with everyone here on this Zoom webinar. There's no doubt that all of you have enjoyed a lot in your young life, especially 2020. I'm sure 2020 is going to be memorable for all of us. Not only did you get impact from COVID, but the current racial tensions and the conversations around the world are opening up the wounds, not only for you, but perhaps for many of your family members as well. So as we head today, the impacts are massive. We have had, Missy sharing about, her experience, and Samantha talking about accessing services, Marian, the impact on young mothers, the postpartum and mental health, Cordas talking about the impact on artists and music, and Lillian with your beautiful poems. There's so much impact that's happening. But one thing I wanted to mention though, is that around the world, and even in Canada, COVID-19 has resulted in severe economic and social impacts, especially in marginalized communities. The disruptions in education, economic opportunities, health and well-being are adding complexities during a crucial stage in your young lives, as I said. And we also know that COVID is amplifying the existing inequalities for Black and Indigenous youth. In a way, we have to thank COVID for helping us to shine the spotlight on the systemic problems that are there, in looking at the unemployment, looking at the housing situation, food security and safety. There's so many things that if we look, and we shine the light on the majority or on the white community, we won't know the problems. But you, the youth, Black youth, coming together and bringing the light to say, we have a different reality. That story is needed. You need to be telling that story. Lillian also shared in her poem that we need race-based statistics so that we can understand the impact on the 3.5% of Blacks in Canada. Yes, we are a small number, but the statistics already show that we are impacted more. If you look at the ratios, and we don't know what we don't know. So we do need to have data disaggregation so that we can understand it better. And the upper levels of government need to have clear and open communications with community-based organizations and people that are on the ground, including youth like yourselves. In order, for us to mitigate the impact of this crisis, we need to have a culturally appropriate approach, because we know that one size doesn't fit all. And we have to listen to voices like your voices. We have to look from your lens. Most of the time, we look, from the people that are in offices. I'm a city councilor. We've got, MLAs. We have MAs. Senators. In this call. But most of the time, if we don't hear from different lenses, that lens is unheard of, right? You're silent. So you need more than ever, you need to amplify your voices. You need to contact elected officials and let them know your realities. I'll leave you with what Maya Angelou said. She said, you may not control all the events that happen to you, but you can decide not to be reduced by them. So this one is a challenge to you to say, in order to not be reduced by them, you can take action and you can continue to push, and you can continue to advocate on your, for yourselves by going to all the elected officials and saying, hear our story, and we are here and we are impacted and we need your help. So this was the beginning for you to do this, and please continue to do that. And I would also end by challenging you. I am an elected official in Coquitlam, but a lot of times I'm calling for, for our Black youth, for Black people to get involved, and nobody comes out. We cannot expect the change to happen if we do not participate. You need to come out. You need to be advocating. In Vancouver, Yasa is doing great, mobilizing, some youth there, but youth are all over the communities. We are all over the communities, and yet we are not amplifying the voices, and we're not doing our part. So I challenge you as youth to encourage your families and to encourage your peers to get active and to really, be present in the community and advocate for the things that matter. So thank you so much again for having me. And I really thank you for putting this together and sharing your stories with us. Thanks again.
Thank you, Councillor Trish Mandawa. Thank you so much for speaking to us tonight. And yes, this is not the first and last event. I can promise you that we are going to have more of these events, more and more of these events in the future. But I would also like, in the same spirit, to please request you that when we have such events in the future, we will need you once again to please talk to us and keep motivating us. And because we look up to you, the youth want to be like you one day. They want to be able to speak like you, to do the things you do. So we look up to you as our mentors, and we will be inviting you in these future forums, because we have so many different topics that we would like to talk about. COVID-19 is not just, it's just one of them, I can say. But we have topics like mental issues. We have topics like school dropouts. Why is, so much school dropout, early pregnancies. We have issues like drug abuse. Why is it, becoming rampant, drug abuse and homicide, so many things. When we listen to the youth speak out there, because we interact with the community, we listen, and when we listen, we want to bring those voices together. When we bring those voices together, yes, we want to have people we look up to you, like yourselves today, to be with us and help guide us in the right direction, then that can take us to places we really want to be in the future. So thank you so much once again, Councillor Trish Mandel. Very pleased. Thank you for talking to us tonight. In the same spirit, once again, we have another distinguished guest among us, and I'm very excited to welcome Councillor Pete Frey. Councillor Pete Frey, thank you so much for being with us tonight. You're most welcome.
Oh, thank you, Rita. Really great to be here, and so wonderful to follow my colleague Trish Mandewo. Trish, nice to see you. You sounded horrible when the meeting we were at today. We had a meeting earlier, and it sounded like Trish was inside of a tin can at the bottom of the ocean. It was hard to hear her. So nice to hear you and see you, Trish. Really inspiring to hear the stories today and hear from the youth, and just reflecting on a few of them. I wanted to talk about just how challenging a time we are in. And then when I heard some of Lillian's poetry and channeling some of the angst that we're all experiencing, it really, really kind of brought it home, because I think what we're dealing with today with COVID, it's unprecedented. We all know that. And we don't know where it's going. And it's a scary, difficult time. But it's also a time of fantastic change. And we're seeing that change manifesting. We're seeing way more allies coming out and speaking out loudly against racism and anti-Black racism and the systemic wrongs in our society. And we're seeing that happen in real time where it hadn't happened before in this kind of scale. And, I reflect back on how as a younger man, I was working in graphic design. And I started off doing album covers and CDs. And then when digital music came along and downloads, and it was the death of the CD industry, and everybody was panicking because nobody was making CDs anymore, and everybody was getting their music online, and there would be no more music. So, when I hear Godas talking about the future of music, there is an opportunity there, and we're in a pivot, and it's going to change. But you're young, and you're poised to be that change and redefine what the future is going to look like. And this is a real opportunity. So when I hear young people who have the ideas and the drive and the passion, and what you want, we're here together to get there, and this is a fantastic opportunity for change. earlier when Fatima was talking about the need for mentors and opportunities, I want to give a shout out to my friend Antonio Ogandale, who's in. She started the Ethos Lab in Surrey, and it's actually an opportunity for young people, young Black people, to find mentorship and new opportunities and cultivate and incubate businesses. And it's a fantastic startup, and it's happening now. And you can find them under solidstate.coop, and they're doing a bunch of different things. And I'll put it in the chat link so folks can find it. But I really encourage young people to get involved with that, because they are breaking new ground. They have amazing partnerships and doing small business incubator and artist startups, and to try and channel those voices and find new opportunities. And now more than ever, when we find ourselves in unprecedented territory, this is an opportunity to start something absolutely brand new. And we are almost starting with a bit of a blank slate in many respects. So this is a scary time. It's a bit of a hindrance, but when we come out of this, we're going to be stronger, we're going to be better, and we're going to have opportunities for the future. So keep your chins up. You have allies in all levels of government. We're here for you. We want to hear your ideas. We're all very accessible, and I'll put the link to Solid State in the link in the chat. But thank you really, everybody, for being so inspiring and really sharing your truths and your stories and your aspirations, and giving some of us older ones a little bit of hope for the future. So thank you.
And Councillor Pete Frey, I would like to say this. We are going to walk with our heads up high, proud, and chin up. Like, we are going to do that. I can assure you that. Yes, moving forward, we are raising, great leaders. We are raising leaders that are going to make a huge difference in our communities and have a huge impact in the future of this, not just this country, but in the world. It starts here, it starts with us. So once again, I'm very, very excited to know that we have you. We can look up to you, and the doors are not closed. We can come to you anytime we really need to inquire anything, or we have a question, or we need guidance, or we need direction. We will, come to you for that direction. So thank you very much, Councillor Pete Frey. I really appreciate you talking to us and being part of us tonight. So in the same spirit, again, I'm just so excited that we had, a very good response. Like, everyone really wanted to be part of this youth forum. And I'm just so much excited that we have many distinguished honorable members in this audience with us tonight. And we have so many wonderful people that will speak after the members have spoken. I'll give every one of us, sorry, not every one of us, but a few of us, with the interest of time, I beg your pardon, to raise up your hand. You will raise up your hand, and I will select you. And you have about 1 minute to ask a question or to comment. Please be very encouraging. Please be very respectful as you address the audience. Please, I beg you kindly, and just be straight on point as you ask, or as you comment, or as you give feedback. Thank you very much. So yeah, tonight I have the pleasure to invite the Councillor, Honorable Lisa Dominanto. Please, you are most welcome. Thank you for being part of us tonight.
Thank you very much. I'm really honored to be here this evening, and incredibly honored to listen to the different stories and to the presenters. So a sincere thank you for sharing your stories, and as Councillor Frey noted, your hopes and aspirations, but also to share your perspectives of the pandemic and the impact it's had on you individually. But I also felt that in many ways you spoke collectively of representing small business, artists, others, and I think that's really important. Certainly from my perspective, one of the things that conversations we've had at City Council of late is how the pandemic has really revealed gaps in our systems and a wide range of things, including things like housing, and a number of speakers spoke to how it's really amplified inequalities and disparities. I think Lillian's poem spoke to that, and I would certainly say it has, and amplified as well by the conversations we're now having around anti-racism And I think an incredibly important conversation that we need to be having. I was reflecting on Fatima's reflection of being a small business owner, and the sense that Black businesses, I think her words were, undervalued, and that not recognizing some of the biases and perceptions that we have and hold. And I actually think that's a big fundamental part of the conversation we're having today about systemic racism, and that we need to really check in with ourselves, and many of us, around those biases and perceptions. And so I think that's a really important conversation. So I want to acknowledge that because it really stood out for me. Also, in comments that I think it was Miriam that reflected around the impact on women. Certainly, we've seen that because in many cases, women are undertaking frontline jobs as the ones that were the hardest hit during the pandemic. Often women are still the caregivers for children. And so juggling that, juggling educating your kids at home, mental health. A very close friend of mine took to Twitter recently. She's been home with her 2 boys. She runs a small business, and acknowledged that she's been suffering from anxiety and depression since the pandemic, and is just recently taking medications to cope with that. And she's spoken very publicly. And so I think that is another area that we need to pay special attention to, is the impact from a mental health perspective of what the pandemic's, but also particularly women being harder hit. And I want to reflect on a couple of other things that I heard, and I think it was touched on, is that I think Councillor Fry may have reflected this around allies, that we can all be allies, and in fact we need to step up, regardless of our backgrounds, where we come from, is that we need to work together and work through this, because it is a time of uncertainty. And also, Rita, you've talked about you can make it, you have greatness inside you. And I think that is one of the things that I would really like to reflect back, is that you believing in yourselves. You're here today, you're making time, that is incredible. And that we need to work collectively to believe in you as well. And when I reflect back on my career and my life path, it has been a combination of trying to center myself and believe in myself, that I have something good to bring to the world, but also surrounding myself with people who supported me, believed in me. And that speaks to Dr. Fry's comments. She took the words out of my mouth, mentorship. And I think that in our different respective roles, elected, non-elected, we can do a much better job of mentoring and empowering young people and contributing in a positive way that way. And I think that's something that we can take away, and I'm certainly taking away from this conversation today. And so I would just like to say thank you for sharing this evening. It was incredibly powerful. Thank you for inviting us to listen. I take it quite seriously when I get invited to listen, and that I really come to listen and learn, and then take away that what I hear to help inform the work and role that I do today. And so, and just to be here as well with, Senator Jaffer and Dr. Fry, it's incredible. And other colleagues who are here, Trish as well, and Rebecca. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Councillor Lisa Dominanto. Thank you for talking to us tonight and encouraging us and motivating us. Thank you so much for these sweet words. And yes, we will still continue, this struggle. This is just the beginning. And I can assure you're going to see more and more of us, in the future as we take on more projects and do even much better things. This is just the beginning. So thank you very much once again being part of us and making this a very memorable event. And I'm sure this is not the last time we are seeing you. We'll see you again for sure. Thank you so much. Before I forget, one of the great speakers here tonight, Lillian, I think she had a question. She forgot to ask that question. Lillian, are you okay asking that question, or should I just move on? Sorry, I just remembered right now. Is that okay? Do you want to go on with the question?
Yeah, sure.
Okay, sure. Please go ahead. Okay, then I will invite the next counselor. Sorry, I forgot completely. Please go ahead.
Thank you. Thank you for this time. So I'll start by sharing a little bit about my background in my education. I won't take much of your time. So I'm a student at university, McMaster University here in Ontario, and I'm originally from Rwanda. And I came through a sponsorship program called WOSC,
It sponsors refugees to come and do their studies here in Canada. But my sponsorship was supposed to last for just a year. So it ended like recently, and I tried to like find a job, but that job also ended due to COVID-19. It was a part-time job. So my question is, how are you going to help students like me who are willing to like pursue their career in what they're doing, like poetry, that's what I do. How are you going to support students who are like me, who are passionate about their studies and passionate about what they do, artistic work? How are you going to help us to continue our studies as we serve our communities through our talents? That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I'm glad you asked. And again, my apologies.
Right.
I completely forgot. So I hope that there will be honorable member or councillor to come back to you on that question. But I will go on and carry on to another distinguished guest that we have with us tonight. May I please take this opportunity, ladies and gentlemen, to welcome the Councillor Rebecca Blay. Please, Councillor Rebecca Blay, you're most welcome.
Thank you very much, Rita, for the introduction and great facilitation. I'm so impressed how on track we are with timing. So thank you for having me here. It really is an honor to be here. I had the pleasure of meeting Yassine during the last local government election in 2018, so it was about 2 years ago. And I was really taken by the work that he was sharing with me that the African Descent Society had undertaken in Vancouver, and was also humble, or what was I? I felt humbled by the fact that I didn't know about it, and I didn't know enough about it. So thank you for all of the work that the society and organization does and continues to do. I've been really moved by hearing from the panel and echo Dr. Fry's comments at the range of speakers and expertise that have come here today. And I echo much of what my colleagues, other city councillors have mentioned, as well as you know, the other panels around the inspiration taken from this group. I also just want to reflect, because you all took so much time to really share what matters to you, a few things that I heard. So Fatima sharing about the opportunity around a powerful business network. So I'm going to really be paying attention to how I can help leverage that, and if there's any further action around that. And of course, the flowers don't grow without rain. I think that that is a very important takeaway from this call for all of us to remember, and it's what we do with it. Samantha shared about the youth programs and how important it is for newcomers to Vancouver to feel connected to their community. And so we see that in the closure of community centers and COVID-related closures, how important it is to do everything we can to advocate for whatever we need in order to have those community centers open back up, to allow those spaces to exist. And how those programs really help those that participate in job interviews and being able to attain employment and things like that. And the question around what can I do in general to improve my community more, I'm sure there's so many things that I need to say to that. The first that came to mind, of course, is that to continue to do everything that I can to amplify the voices that are the lived experience, that rely on others to support them, and do everything that I can to not get in the way. And I think we need just people to really get out of the way and create a pathway. So being here is an honor. You may feel grateful we've taken this time, but to me, I'm grateful that you've taken this time and created the opportunity. So I appreciate that question. I'm going to keep thinking about it, Samantha. And then Miriam, talking about the impact on young mothers, and the very real challenges of being isolated with young kids and no other adult necessarily around. I was a single mom, and I know what it means to go home at night, just you and your baby, and it was very isolating, and it was lonely, really, at times, many times. So I see you in that experience, but also that you said focus on what you can control. And I think that is leadership, where you can look and see, okay, this is what's happening, and where can I create something in my life because I have control over it, when so much I don't. And that's where we get our power from, that's where we get our energy from, that's where we actually are able to make change that we want in our lives because we say we want it. So I'm there for you in that conversation for sure. And then what else? You're speaking about artist opportunities to practice together and performing. I hear you there as well. And we do hear that a lot at City Council around artist space being lost and the work that we need to do to help preserve it. And that's generally right across the board pre-COVID, and it's harder even now. So I hope you're outdoors performing anywhere you can. And if you can share that with the group, I'd love to know where that is. And then Lillian, thank you for sharing your art. No, we've just recently passed a motion around database, race-based data collection as something that we have to champion as well to senior levels of government to be able to fully understand the deaggregated data that's related to COVID, but also outside of COVID. So we're definitely doing that. So that's all I really wanted to say. I spent time in Ethiopia working with government and school trustees around education, and also in Mozambique. And it was some of the most treasured time in my life. And I can tell you that the minute I stepped off the plane, I felt part of the community I was in when I traveled to Africa. And that is something, that feeling I will never forget, that feeling of belonging. And so everything that I can do to make sure that you feel that way here, and your community does, and family does. And it's not necessarily about separation. I really see it as bringing people together, and I hope that that's something that can come out of this dialogue. And the final thing I say is that leaders create a future that wouldn't otherwise exist. That's the definition I think leadership is, and you've all really shown tonight how you do that in your day-to-day lives. And so power to you. Please keep doing it. Please keep sharing your stories, and anything that I can do to continue to work with the group and ongoing, I would be honored to do so. Thank you.
Rita, Ms. Movina, if I can just add one thing, I got a little sidetracked with the little challenge I had, but I want to say to all those people who ask questions and young people, now you have our faces, now you know us. So reach out to us, and the individual questions you ask, I'm sure all of us can write individually. But I want to finish what the politicians talked about by again quoting Nelson Mandela, who said to the youth of today, be the script writers of your destiny and feature yourselves as stars that show the way towards a brighter future. And so I say to all of you that you already are showing us a brighter future. And I'm going to ask Lillian if you can share your poem with all of us, because we can share that with our colleagues at very different levels. So thank you very much. Thank you.
Wow. Thank you so very much, Honorable Jeffa Mombina, again, for those encouraging, nice words. And yes, Lillian will definitely share the poems. Sorry, did you say with everyone? How would you like her to share the poem? Sorry.
Well, however she feels comfortable to share, but definitely I would like to read her poems in the Senate on the floor. So, and also share it other ways, and so whoever else, but I think that what she said is very important that we share in other places.
Okay, sure. Thank you so much for clarifying that. And yes, that will be sent to your email. We have your email. And yes, whoever wants to hear this poem or have access to this poem, we can also put it on the actually Facebook of African Descent Society BC. And we can also put it on the Facebook of African Descent Youth Engagement Society. Yeah, so please, if you want the poem, request for it, our guests tonight, and we will make it available to you, whether you want that on WhatsApp, yeah, whichever media channel you want that, we can definitely send you the poem. Thank you. Thank you so much, Councillor Rebecca Bly, for those wonderful words. Thank you for talking to us. And I like when you say leaders create a future that would otherwise not exist. And that is for sure. Thank you so much for talking to each and every one of the young youth today. And we hear you loud and clear. And yes, we are going to take actionable, concrete steps. What you are saying tonight is not just, going through one ear and passing through the other ear. I can assure you we are documenting this, and we are going to take more proactive steps. I personally, I like to act, not just to talk. When I, hear something, when I, hear someone do something, I like to act on it. And I encourage the youth tonight, please take very seriously what you are hearing from this event today and action on it and plan and build on it. Yes, we will meet, we'll continue to meet and we'll continue to plan. But again, it starts with you. It's really up to you to take that initiative. I've heard one man say, one wise man say that, you know what, you can, take a donkey to the river to drink while he's thirsty. But if he doesn't take it upon him to open his mouth and drink the water, there is nothing much you can do. So that's what I'm encouraging us tonight. Let us take these words and not leave them in our brains, in our minds, but make them, produce something out of them, something physical, something tangible. And we can make our leaders proud. We can make our, society proud of us, and we can make a difference that we want to see. And we can leave that legacy that actually Honorable Mombina Jeffa is talking about from Nelson Mandela, the great leader in South Africa. Like I said, we all have greatness in us and we can do it, we can make it. So it starts within us. So thank you very much again, Councillor Rebecca Bly, thank you for talking to us. And I'm just so proud of having you tonight. So in the same spirit, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to welcome another distinguished guest that is among us tonight, and that is Councillor Shamak Dubo. I hope I pronounce your name correctly. Please correct me if I pronounce Dubo wrongly, but I'm so glad that we have you with us here tonight. Councillor, thank you so much for making us proud. Please talk to us tonight. Councillor, you're most welcome. Please. Councillor Shamak Dubo, are you with us tonight? Okay. Councillor, are you with us tonight? Okay, he might be on trying to come online, but hello, Councillor, are you there? Councillor, are you there? Shamak? Okay, I will move on with the interest of time. If he's there, yes, I will proudly, I'll be so proud to have him speak. So I will go right to the next councillor. Again, I'm very, very honored tonight to welcome Councillor Peter Flegg. Please, I hope I'm pronouncing your last name correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong. Councillor Peter Frego, I saw you here. Actually, I see your name. Are you with us tonight?
Yes, I am here.
Please.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you. We can hear you loud and clear. You're most welcome, Councillor Peter. Please, go ahead. Talk to us. Thank you.
Well, first, I'd like to really thank and congratulate the organizers for inviting me. So Rita and Yassine, it's really incredible to see the foresight that you had in convening this really timely and vital conversation. I do want to acknowledge that all of us, wherever we are on this call, are located on Indigenous land, some of which has been unceded, and it's part of our responsibility and duty to acknowledge that fact. I'd also clearly would like to congratulate the young speakers for delivering such an honest, such an unadulterated and a concise articulation of the ways in which COVID is impacting their lives. I'll say a few words in French because I do acknowledge that across the country we do have people of African descent who are part of francophone communities. Donc, je voudrais bien sûr saluer mes confrères, mes consoeurs francophones et vraiment, je serais content de savoir que vous êtes présents et que vous voulez assurer que votre voix soit attendue et entendue auprès du gouvernement. I think it's really been really important to hear the speakers, the young speakers today, because you really have put a human face on the ways in which COVID-19 is having a disproportionate impact on communities of African descent and other racialized and indigenous peoples across the country. This evening, we heard about the salient or the importance of looking at a gender lens, applying a gender lens. So it's not just putting people of African descent in one box, but understanding the intersectionality of our identities and the ways in which that is impacted by COVID. We've heard about the necessity to support Black-led and Black-owned businesses across the country and some of the clear and disturbing barriers that continue to persist in terms of support and capital and that would be available to support these businesses. And also we heard about the challenges around of artists who are struggling to find a foothold in a time in which you can no longer, as mentioned, no longer practice in rehearsal spaces and really have to find kind of new and innovative ways to be productive and accessible to your audience. And then last but definitely not least was the issue of disaggregated data. While I should mention the Government of Canada has consistently, well, maybe not consistently, but it does collect disaggregated data. But what's become clear in the pandemic is that health-based disaggregated data is just not available at a national level. And so there's clearly a need and there's work that's being done to make that more accessible. So I think before I continue, perhaps it's just worthwhile for me to say a few words of who I am, since I am, I guess, the new kid on the block among the luminaries of speakers that you've just heard from. So I'm the director of the Federal Anti-Racism Secretariat, which is a brand new secretariat, which is part of the Government of Canada's anti-racism strategy. So our mandate is really to coordinate and lead a whole of government approach to combating systemic racism within our federal institutions. So they're right there with our strategy, Canada's anti-racism strategy. There's a clear understanding and acknowledgement that systemic racism is a fact in Canada, and it actually exists within our institutions. And so the role of the office, the directorate that I lead, is really to work with all the departments and federal institutions to remove those barriers, to understand the gaps, and to create new initiatives. So once COVID hit, the pandemic hit, we soon, as a secretariat, realized that there was a gap in the ways in which the government was reacting. There was no kind of a common and structured way to address the ways in which the pandemic was affecting equity-seeking communities, including Black communities across the country. So what we did was create a interdepartmental task force, which now has 26 departments and federal institutions across the board, really to understand, to make sure that everybody across government that's working on COVID understands the impact of the pandemic on communities like Black communities. But not only understand, but look at some of the gaps in which, in the ways in which the response, the federal response, is not necessarily helping everyone. And we heard about it this evening, and some of the speakers that really pointed out some of the gaps that unfortunately existed. And so that's why we're also working with the departments to find ways to fill those gaps. And we've been doing that over the last few months. But in order for us to do our job properly, we really need to hear from you. We really need to work with you, because you have the answers. You're living it on a daily basis on the ground across the country, in this case in BC. And so that's why this evening was so important for me to really hear concretely how the pandemic is affecting you. And I heard also some recommendations in terms of things that we need to do. So you have my commitment that I'm going to take these recommendations with me and bring them back to the task force and to the different departments and institutions, so that we make sure that now we're in the recovery process, that those elements are central parts or planks of the recovery measures that will be developed. There's no guarantee, but we're definitely committed to working with you, and the Prime Minister has been clear that he sees the Anti-Racism Secretariat as key in terms of advancing the Government of Canada's agenda. So I guess in closing, I really want to encourage all the young people on the phone to really continue being bold, be fierce, be audacious, because the future of our country and the president of our country depends on you. It's only by being open, by speaking out, that change is possible. So it's really been a privilege and an honor for me to be part of you, and I look forward to continue engaging with you. Merci.
Wow, Councillor Peter Freg, thank you so much. You make us feel at home, right at home. we are very comfortable, like we feel like we don't belong outside. I mean, hearing you speak that way is really, again, very comforting. So thank you so much. We feel like, kids, we can always come back to, dad, mom, without any worries, any fear. That's how you really make us feel, increasing that level of confidence. It makes us think we can almost do anything, like there's nothing impossible. So thank you so much for that, wonderful summary, touching each and everything of what the great youth speakers have said tonight. And we are taking that seriously, and we are going to really take actionable steps to make sure that we do our part. But please, as we do our part, let me take this opportunity to kindly ask you on behalf of the speakers tonight that you assist us to do our part. I heard Honorable Dr. Hedufrey talking about the need for mentoring. And I think this is really, really vital, especially when it comes to the emerging artists. Now, these are young artists coming in this industry, and there are so many challenges in this industry that they are not even aware of. And I've seen so many emerging artists waver, get off. It's very easy for these teenagers, for these young youth to waver and be blown away because of excitement or whatever, everything that really comes within that stage. If they don't have proper guidance, if they don't have proper mentoring, if they don't have proper counseling. Now, we really need that mentoring aspect and support. We really need that to bridge that gap. And please, I beg you, we are more than willing to work with you. Tell us whatever you want us to do. Please, I beg you kindly. You see, in my tribe, when we really ask so kindly, we kneel down. We really kneel down to show that respect. But because this is Canada, it's a different culture, I will not do that. But I ask respectfully, please, honorable members and councillors, we are willing to work with you as youth. There are so many youth out there that wanted to be on this program tonight, but because of the tight schedule, it was very painful for me to tell them, no, you cannot. It was really, really painful. But like I promised you, this program is still ongoing, but please let me know how we can receive that support from you, especially mentoring. And as you can see, the likes of Lillian in her area, Fatima, Samantha, Mariam, if they don't have the proper guidance, if they don't have the proper support, they need it in order to make it, to become those great leaders we are talking about. So please, let me do everything and anything you ask of me to do, and I'm willing to be that, to see that transformation in this society and in other areas as well, not just here, because the youth out there need us. They go through really, really things that I don't even want to share, here on this platform, because they are very painful. I feel that pain. So having you here, like I said, makes me feel at home. And I'm really, really so honored and happy that you're here to listen to the youth tonight. I'm not sure if Councillor Shamak is with us tonight. Councillor Shamak, are you on now? Councillor Shamak, I hear the noise in the background and I want to know he's coming on, but for some reason he's not. Anyhow, okay, with interest of time, please allow me, honorable members, if you would like to respond to Lillian. She had a question, but I don't know if it was answered yet.
If I can, Rita, I'll speak on behalf of city councillors.
Okay.
From where we stand, there really isn't much we can do from a municipal government perspective, but I'll be happy to engage with her offline to give her some suggestions on who to contact. But of course, we do have Senator and MLA in there. Maybe they can comment.
Thank you very much. Okay, so with that, without wasting further time, yes, we can still communicate on email, we can still communicate on phone. So because of the interest of time, I will go ahead and right now at this moment, because time is really against us. My apologies. Please let us have about just 10 minutes to hear from the community what they have to say. So please, if you have something, a question, a comment, a suggestion, raise your hand. Just press that hands up and I will be letting you speak. So
Rita?
Yes, please, go
Sorry
ahead.
to bother. Rebecca was saying something about letting them know if there's any events. I am performing tomorrow with the African descent, and I think they're inviting a few people, and then it's live streamed if she was still online.
Yes, she's still online.
Yeah.
Yes, she's still online. Okay. I have one. Sorry?
Sorry, I did hear that. I just wanted to.
Yeah, hi.
Hi.
Nice to meet you. It's great being able to chat with you guys. You were saying something about if I had any concerts to let you guys know. Tomorrow is going to be the first time I go on stage after a while due to COVID. With the Africa Descent, they're holding up an event that they usually do every year. It's just smaller because of the whole pandemic going on, but I will be performing tomorrow, and they're inviting a few people, but it's also live streamed if you're interested.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much for the information.
Yeah. No problem.
Maybe that can be circulated, how to find your the live stream link.
All right, I'll put it in the comments somewhere. Thank you.
Awesome. Good luck tomorrow.
Thank you.
Thank you, Goddess. Thank you for bringing that up. Thank you. I appreciate that. So we have one person from the community, Paul Mulango. Paul Mulango is the Executive Director for Center of Integration for African Immigrants. Are you on?
Yes, yes.
Please go ahead, Paul. You're welcome.
Yeah, my name is Paul. Again, thank you very much, Rita, for the job you are doing. You know, the times Yasin told me, I was like, oh, I need to be in and to see how our kids starting also replacing us. For 20 years, I've been here in Canada and doing the job, and we came very young, and now we are older now. The thing is, yes, there's a problem of data. There's so many research I've been doing. Like recently, we've been doing the research with Vancouver Foundation about youth, where for the job. That one, it came also, it was a period of, there was a period where there was legalizing marijuana, and then the people that been eat on it was our young kid. Now, even the COVID-19, the people that been eat is our kid. There are three kinds of kids. There's some people who are in school, and the one that are not in school, and also the mother, don't call the young kid mother. They all have different agenda and different program. The time you are going to the government to tell them that, oh, our youth need something, but they don't really understand because they always say, oh, there's some program, where they need to know that other program, they need to become with a culture. Because a lot of our youth going somewhere, why they're dropping? They're dropping because of the curriculum doesn't have our culture. You know, they don't see people inside there. Je suis francophone. We can go in the francophone school, no black teacher there. You understand? Is where a lot of things failure. We are trying to say that you need to wake up and trying to go around and say enough is enough. We need also the program. Like Peter said about anti-racism, is always a slogan. We don't want a slogan anymore. We don't have a data. They said, oh, data collection. Yes, we can have a data collection. Every time they always research. Where are those things going? You don't want things coming and going to the drawer. We want to react. Canada need to change. Like our Senator Mabina said, there's a piano, there's a white and black thing. To be harmonious, need all those things to be played where you're going to be seeing things going very well. If they always one side, you can see is what you say, anti-racism, there's a COVID-19, there's everything, because they don't want to listen to other people say, oh no, this is wrong. It's not about writing where you can find the program. It's about how to know the community. The Canada failed to engage the grassroots organization. because it's through grassroots organization where things change. Because the grassroots organization, they're behind, they're closer monitor to the family, to the immigrant. Thank you very much, Rita, again.
Well, thank you, Paul Lango, so much. Thank you for talking to us. And I'm sure that has been heard loud and clear. Thank you. May I please ask, with the interest of time, if just one more person, if you're there, please raise your hand and I'll give you the opportunity to talk to the audience, please. Just unmute yourself, raise your hand, unmute yourself and say something. Okay, so silence means, yes, hello. Yes, yes, Yasin. Yeah, I was going to invite you to actually close this event. And yes, you came in timely. Please go ahead, Yasin.
Thank you so much for all the leaders who really responded to this forum. It makes me to feel happy that the city councillors of Vancouver, they really hear what is going on. The city of Victoria, Coquitlam, and the federal leaders, they all heard, especially those in anti-racism. Mr. Peter Fregel, just is a director of Canada Heritage issue regarding to anti-racism department secretariat. He's very much could be a very instrumental figure. Mrs. Amy Huang from Canada Heritage Program Manager. I think they have heard what is this conversation is all about. Recently, many people, as you've heard, that the provincial government of British Columbia, Minister Rob Fleming, he announced the teaching of Black history. I want to make people here be aware that I am the one who designed the curriculum that the government of British Columbia is referring to or is introducing. And the course that I introduced this curriculum is known as Board Authority Authorization course. I'm a historian. I've taught in several schools before I came to Canada, from elementary school to high school and the colleges. So I knew most of my expertise in designing school curriculum. And I've seen the issues of anti-racism and discrimination fighting in schools, younger people fighting, teaching of the Black history. Canada Heritage, as much they have been supporting us several times. This February, I decided to put a curriculum with my colleague, Professor Larry Davis from United States Department of Education. We always, my colleague, we work together here. We put together that curriculum and we submitted it to the Minister of Education. That led to Vancouver, Vancouver School Board, lead the other school boards, Barnaby School Board. They are going to start teaching Black history. Vancouver, West Vancouver School Board, they also invited us to help them to discuss about creating a curriculum, a board authorization course. So that is what we've been doing, and we have done it because of the younger people. So the voice of younger people here, African Descent Youth Engagement, it should not be taken for granted. The three streams of funding that I've mentioned, the Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, he announced those grants when I was behind at the Parliament in Ottawa. So I knew exactly that it happened. Mr. Peter Frigo, that time he was the director of Jean Michel Foundation. They had a forum, a National Black Canadian Summit that brought thousands of people. And I've seen Senator Mobina Japa on the very front line. Honorable Heidi Fry, she has given us grants before. Councillors at the City Council, they have supported the African Descent Festival. Today, as Godasi said, I've worked with her when she was still very young. Tomorrow, at around 5:40, she's breaking a record to perform a live concert with a band, a Hutano band. They are going to be backing with her. So log in on our Facebook page, African Descent Festival. Actually, just to give you an example of what is going on, you can see the stage. That's the stage with the, it was sponsored by the provincial government. Younger people are gonna be performing here tomorrow until Sunday. And tomorrow morning, we have a very large historic walking tour in the Black history, Black historic site, Hoganizale, Strathcona. Councillor Peter Frey come from from Strathcona. So we know that since he is from Strathcona, he can bring attention to the government of Canada that Strathcona was a black.
Right, we lost you there, Yasin. Your video actually came to the pause. Sorry about that. I mean, technical issues. There are some things we really cannot, they're not, we cannot avoid them. Please allow me, I know we are out of time, but I want to recognize one young, really important man here. He's a very young youth, Osman. Osman, you're very welcome. I know you are Pan-Africanist and your video actually went viral. I don't know how many people have watched that video. Would you just kindly, briefly say hello to us, please? Just kindly. Osman.
Yeah, good evening to you all. It is already like 11 after 1 a.m. in Gambian time. So I have to watch this because I have to see how my brothers and sisters in the diaspora are working towards unity and etc. I recently released a video, of course, talking about the need for Africa to rethink about its development and the need for us to unite ourselves as youths, for us to connect as brothers and sisters within the continent and those in the diaspora, because that is where our strength lies. That is where our energy lies. And it is only through that connection we'll be able to solve our problems as a people. And I am so glad that I have heard, so many things, seeing you, I'm doing amazing well. And then, trying to build a connection between yourself, the government of Canada, yourself, and other brothers and sisters within the society. That is what we need as a people. We need to be recognized by institutions. We need to be recognized by the global system and given the dignity that we deserve as a people. So thank you so much. And I was so glad, to be part of this conversation. At least I've learned a lot. And yeah, I look forward to meeting you again. Thank you.
And thank you so much, Osman, for staying up tonight, up to this time, and being with us tonight. So proud of you. Thank you. So without wasting any further time, Yasin, are you back? Okay, Yasin is very busy preparing for tomorrow's event and Sunday. So once again, I want to thank you so very much for coming and being part of us tonight. I'm not sure if there is any additions that the honorable members want to add onto that or not. No? Oh no, okay, that's it. I want to say thank you once again, and I want to close this event right now. Yasin?
Yes.
I was just going to close this because we are
Yeah.
we are out of time. We are out of time. It's already 6:14. Do you want to just summarize and close this event, please?
Yeah, just to saying that I was saying that we have already we're requesting our government to help us so much to be able to at least support the youth of African descent, looking at the support and the opportunity of the community support for the Black Canadian youth. If there is any opportunity that our younger people can be accessing these services, this organization, African Descent Youth Engagement Forum, if they can be able to support them through Department of Canada Heritage, through the provincial government, through the city of Vancouver, it will really be, it will help us to also who in the community, as Mr. Mulango said, from the grassroots, that our councillors should really reach out to these young people rather than abandoning them or ignoring their cause. Goddess is professionally a recording artist. She's releasing an album next year. There are so many younger people like Goddess in the community. They don't have instruments, they don't have venues, they don't have theater. Today, this weekend, African Descent Festival is going to present about 50 musicians, 50 over. We have been doing this work across the country. I've promoted, sponsored, organized the concert throughout the country. And this time, every year, our festival, International Decade for People of African Descent. We are calling any federal, provincial leaders, really make up a follow-up with this organization. African Descent Society has been doing a great work to support the African Descent Youth Engagement Society. And this time I think that our leaders, they have heard and they have seen what has been going on. This is the only way that I can say. Otherwise, tomorrow from 2 p.m. And Sunday, follow us at Instagram, African Descent Festival, Facebook, African Descent Festival. We're going to be live streaming the largest event in this COVID-19. Thank you so much, Rita. And thank you again for the great work you do.
And thank you so much too. Thank you for the great work you do, Yasin. Absolutely. You will look up to you. Thank you so much for making this event wonderful, what it is tonight. So with that, I will not waste any further time. Thank you so much, everybody, for being part of us. Thank you, honorable members. Thank you, councillors. Thank you, our guests. Thank you, everybody, for making this such a wonderful, honorable event. And we look forward to having you again more and more in future events. And most importantly, thank you to the young speakers tonight. You did great. You are great. And hang in there. And I'll be talking to you very soon. Good night and have a very good weekend. You take care of yourselves. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.